Hello, everyone, and welcome to ReEngageFlow, automating lead re-engagement with human in the loop approvals in N8N. I am Ibrahim Malik, and today we will explore how to build, configure, and run a complete follow-up workflow that combines Google Sheets, OpenAI, Slack approvals, and Gmail delivery. So, as you know, in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, right, maintaining a strong connections with leads who have gone quiet is crucial for sustainable growth. Research shows that 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups. Yet 44% of salespeople give up after just one attempt. This represents a massive opportunity cost for businesses of all size, right? So this flow addresses this gap by automating the tedious aspect of lead re-engagement while preserving human oversight for quality control. So what makes this approach unique is the human in the loop architecture that combines AI efficiency with human judgment. While many automation tools promise set it and forget it convenience, we've found that maintaining the human element, especially for customer-facing communications, produces dramatically better results and prevents the kind of embarrassing AI-generated messages that can damage your brand reputation, right? So by the end of this session, you would have learned quite a bit. You'd be able to explain each node in the re-engage flow canvas. You'll gain a comprehensive understanding of how each node functions within our workflow and why it is positioned where it is. This includes grasping the data flow between nodes, understanding how information is transformed at each step, and recognizing the decision points that route your lead follow-ups, right? Then we'll talk about, we'll configure your Google Sheets as a lead database, right? So you'll learn how to structure your spreadsheet with the necessary column and data formats to serve as both a trigger source and a data repository, right? And we'll cover effective organization techniques for lead management, formula tricks for the automated data calculations, and best practices for maintaining clean, actionable lead data that serves as the foundation of your automation. I will walk you through the complete process of importing our pre-built workflow template into your N8N instance, connecting the necessary credential sets for Google Sheets, Gmail, OpenAI, and Slack, and troubleshooting common configurations. All of this is provided in the handbook, so you should be able to follow along, right? And you'll understand authentication requirements for each service, right, and how to securely store API keys. All right, let's look at on a very high level, right? What's the big picture of this flow? So you have a schedule or a sheet update trigger kicks things off, right? We are implementing a dual trigger functionality to provide both automated and manual control over workflow execution. The schedule trigger runs automatically every day to check for leads that need follow-up based on elapsed time, while the sheet triggers allows your team to flag specific leads for immediate action, right? A LangChain agent checks last contacted, so that last contacted 60 days in your sheet, or you can of course change it, and drafts email. This specialized agent combines database querying capabilities with natural language generation. It first examines your Google Sheet to identify which leads haven't been contacted in over 60 days, then retrieves contextual information about each lead, including past interactions from the notes column, and leverages GPT-4 to craft personalized re-engagement messages that reference their specific situation and previous conversations. So the multi-step reasoning capability of LangChain agents ensures these messages are contextually appropriate. Okay. It also has an OpenAI node, parses drafts into JSON fields, right? This transformation step is crucial for structured data handling the free form text generated by our agent, right? By our agent needs to be parsed into consistent fields for processing by downstream nodes, right? So we use a specialized OpenAI function calling format to extract and structure the recipient email address, subject line, and body content into a standard JSON format that other nodes can predictably process. We also have a split, right, loop that breaks out each email, since the LangChain agent may identify multiple leads requiring follow-up, right? So this node pair separates the batch into individual messages and processes them one at a time through the remainder of the workflow. This approach ensures proper rate limiting for API calls and allows individual human review of each message, right? And then we have Slack prompts, right? For your team for approval. So each draft email is posted to a designated Slack channel with an approval request message. This creates a transparent review process where team members can see the proposed communication and provide feedback directly in your collaboration environment without having to switch context to a separate approval system. Sentiment analysis routes approved Gmail, right? Disapproved revision loop back to GPT-4. So this critical decision point interprets human feedback to determine the next action, right? So positive responses trigger immediate sending via Gmail, while negative feedback activates our revision system. This human-in-the-loop approach ensures quality control while minimizing the manual effort required from your team, right? And the sentiment analysis is designed to handle natural language responses, so reviewers can simply reply conversationally rather than clicking specific buttons. This architecture balances automation efficiency with human oversight, creating a system that scales with you, right? So whenever you want to scale it. All right, so let's talk about Google Sheet setup, right? So you'll create a spreadsheet. You can name it whatever. In my case, I have named it ReEngageFlow leads. You could do whatever you want, right? Name it with a tab called leads, and it should have. In my case, I have a column that's lead ID. I have name, email, last contacted in a year, month, date, status notes, right? So basically, what you need to do, what it does, it ensures your and Google Sheet credentials have editor access as well. So after that, you need to definitely make sure, and we will use this sheet both to trigger on manual updates and to look up dates, right? So setting up your Google Sheet correctly is foundational to the entire workflow, right? Let's break down each column, right? So lead ID, that's the unique identifier, helps track leads across different systems and provides a stable reference point even if your order details change, right? We recommend using an auto incrementing formula like dash row increment by 1. Then name, the context name, full name, which will be used for personalization in the email, right? And the email address, so you'll have this recipient's email address must be formatted correctly, right? So and the last contacted should be in 4-digit year, 2-digit month, 2-digit date, right? And the status, that's the multi-purpose field, serves both as a trigger for manual follow-ups, when set to needs follow-up, and as a tracking mechanism for lead progression. We recommend using a consistent set of status values like active, dormant, needs follow up, contacted, and closed to maintain the clarity across your team, right? And notes, I mean, this field stores contextual information about previous interactions and should be updated after each meaningful contact, right? So the LangChain agent will incorporate the details from this field when drafting personalized follow-up messages to maintain comprehensive, well-formatted notes. Significantly, it improves the quality of AI-generated content, right? And for optimal performance, consider adding conditional formatting to highlight rows where the last contact date exceeds your threshold, right? Making it easier to visually identify dormant leads during manual review. Okay, and additionally, ensure that your end-to-end Google Sheet credentials have editor level access permissions to both read data and update statuses after successful email sent, right? So a scheduled trigger, I mean, that fires daily at 11 a.m. to auto run the flow, right? So in Google Sheets, watches for any row update, for example, setting a status needs follow up, right? So you can run on demand. These two entry points keep your pipeline flexible. So the dual trigger approach is a cornerstone of this workflow's flexibility, which shows both systematic and ad hoc follow-up processes to coexist, right? So let's examine each trigger in greater details. So the scheduled trigger operates as your workflow's automatic heartbeat, scanning your lead database daily at a predetermined time, 11 a.m. On this one, which we have found strikes the right balance for most sales reviews schedules, right? This consistent daily check ensures that no dormant leads slip through the cracks due to human oversight. When configuring this node, you can adjust the cron expression to match your team's preferred review timing, right? For instance, if your team has a Monday review cadence, you might modify it to execute only on Monday rather than daily. So the key parameter here is the cron pattern, which follows the standard format, or the minute per hour each day, right? The Google Sheets trigger complements the scheduled approach by providing immediate on-demand workflow execution when a specific action is needed, right? So this trigger is configured to watch for updates to any row in your designated sheet, with a special attention to the status column, if right. So when your team identifies a lead requiring immediate follow-up, perhaps after a customer support interaction or social media engagement, simply updating the status field to needs follow-up will trigger the workflow for just that specific lead, right? So this node includes multiple configuration options, including a spreadsheet ID, sheet name, and an optional filter to limit which updates trigger the workflow. Together, these workflows create a comprehensive execution strategy. The schedule trigger ensures that systemic review of your entire lead database based on time elapsed since last contact, while the sheet trigger enables targeted immediate action based on the specific events or team member, right? So this combination of automated vigilance and human initiated action ensures that your lead re-engagement process is both thorough and responsive to emerging opportunities. And for enterprise environments with high lead volumes, you could further fine tune these triggers by adding conditional checks that segment your leads by territory, product interest, or lead value, enabling more sophisticated prioritization of follow-up activities. All right, so past 60 days email composer, it's a lang chain agent, right? And the logic reads, reads each row's last contacted. If 60 days, call GPT-4 to draft a personalized re-engagement email, right? And the output is a free form recipient email, subject body blobs for each qualifying lead. So the LangChain agent serves as the intelligent heart of our workflow, combining both analysis with natural language generation to identify and address dormant leads. So this specialized node leverages the powerful combination of structured data operations and large language model capabilities to transform raw lead information into personalized outreach. Okay. At its core, the agent executes a multi-step process for each lead in your database. So it first parses the last contacted field for each lead row, right? And then converting the string into a comparable date object and calculating the difference between the date and today. This calculation determines whether the lead meets our dormancy threshold of 60 days without contact. This time window is configurable based on your sales cycle, shorter for high velocity products, maybe, right? Longer for enterprise sales with naturally extended timelines. And then for leads that exceed the dormancy threshold, the agent extracts all available contacts, including the lead's name, previous interactions recorded in the notes field, right? Their current status, and other relevant data points. This contextual information forms the foundation for personalized communication that acknowledges, the specific history with each lead. And then the agent passes that structured context to GPT-4 through a carefully crafted prompt that includes your company's tone guidelines, common value propositions, and specific instructions for generating re-engagement messages. This resulting drafts are designed to strike the optimal balance between acknowledging the lapsed communication, providing relevant value, and including a clear call to action appropriate to the lead's stage in your process, right? And finally, the agent structures its output as a collection of message objects, each containing recipient information and message content. This semi-structured format bridges the gap between natural language generation and the structured data needs of downstream nodes. What makes this approach powerful is its ability to dynamically adjust to different lead situations. Rather than simply, sending template-based messages with basic field substitutions, the LangChain agent crafts genuinely personalized communications that reference specific aspects of leads history with your company, creating messages that feel handcrafted rather than automated. So OpenAI one node takes the agent blob and it structures it into JSON, right, with recipient, email, subject, body, and split out. If multiple emails, it will break them down into one item messages, right? And then it iterates each message one by one to avoid rate limits. So the transformation and processing stage is crucial for converting our agent's natural language output into structured data that can be efficiently processed and routed through the remainder of the workflow. This sequence of nodes handles the necessary parsing, separation, and batching of draft messages. So the OpenAI node performs a crucial transformation function. While our LangChain agent produces comprehensive and contextual draft emails, it outputs is essentially free-form text, right, that needs to be converted into a structured format for downstream processing. So this node utilizes OpenAI's function calling capability, providing a specific JSON schema that defines our expected message structure with 4 key fields: recipient name, recipient email address, email subject, and email body. The node executes this structured extraction through a carefully crafted system prompt that instructs the model to identify and separate these components from the agent's output. For example, when given text like draft an email to John Smith, right, a subject should reference our last conversation about implementation challenges, right? So OpenAI node will extract the structure into this proper into this proper JSON field. This transformation is essential for maintaining consistent data handling throughout the workflow. Okay. The split out node addresses situations where our LangChain agent has identified multiple leads requiring follow-up. It divides the array of structured message objects into individual items, which ensures that each draft email proceeds right through the approval and sending process independently. This separation is crucial for maintaining appropriate tracking and allowing individual approval decisions for lead communication, right? And the split in batches node introduces controlled throttling to prevent API rate limiting issues when processing multiple leads. It creates manageable batches of messages configured by default to process one message at a time, and feeds them sequentially, right, into approval workflow. This measured approach ensures reliable operation even when handling large volumes of re-engagement, and measures and prevents throughout the bottleneck that could occur if all messages hit external APIs simultaneously. So together, these nodes transform this unstructured creative content into structured, individually trackable messages that can be efficiently processed through human review channels while maintaining reliable system performance. All right, now let's look at the sentiment analysis node, right? Basically, Slack node posts each draft into sales review with ReEngageFlow approval request. Do you approve, right? And waits. And sentiment analysis analysis inspects your free text reply and classifies approve or disapprove. Okay. So the approval mechanism represents the critical human oversight of our workflow. It creates an intuitive review process that fits seamlessly into your team's existing collaboration tools, right? This human-in-the-loop design ensures quality control and also maintains disruption to your team's workflow. So the Slack node serves as the bridge between automated processes and human judgment. For each draft email, this node constructs a formatted Slack message, that includes a clear standard header identifying it as a approval request, recipient's name and email address for quick context, right? The proposed subject line highlighted for emphasis, and then the complete email body with the formatting preserved, right? This structured presentation makes it easy for reviewers to quickly assess the proposed communication within their familiar Slack environment, right, without requiring them to switch context or log into a separate system. So the node is configured with wait for response enabled, which creates a synchronous pause in the workflow execution until human feedback is received, right? So this configuration utilizes Slack's threaded replies to maintain clear association between specific draft emails and their corresponding approvals, right? Now, the sentiment analysis node interprets the human reviewer's responses, right, to determine the next workflow path. Rather than requiring, structured commands or button clicks, this natural language processing component allows reviewers to respond conversationally, right?
So the node classifies responses based on sentiment and key phrases, right? Interpreting positive language like "Hey, looks good" or "approved" or "send it" as approval, and negative language such as "needs work," "revise," "not ready" as disapproval. So this flexible interpretation means team members can provide feedback in their natural communication system style, right? All right, so the revision system here represents one of workflow's most sophisticated capabilities, right? Creating an iterative improvement cycle that combines human feedback and AI-powered refinement, right? So when an email draft is disapproved, rather than simply discarding it or requiring manual rewriting, this intelligent loop transforms feedback into improved drafts. So the process begins with the revision agent, a specialized node that receives and processes the disapproval context, right? And this agent combines three critical inputs: the original draft email that was disapproved, the full, text of the reviewer's feedback comments, and a structured message that recipient that you know that recipient contacts, for example, right? By analyze Excuse me. Next, the workflow utilizes two chained OpenAI chat nodes, as you can see, in sequence to generate the revised draft. The first node performs a detailed an analysis of this feedback and identifies specific improvement strategies, which generates a structured improvement plan, right? And this intermediate output is then fed to the second node, which executes the revision plan to produce a completely refined email draft. This is two step approach, right, results in more thoughtful revisions that a single pass approach as it appears, right? So the revised draft then passes through the another OpenAI node that performs the same JSON structuring we saw earlier, ensuring the revised message maintains the consistent format. Finally, the Slack one node posts the revised draft back to your team's review, right, channel with a distinct revision notice. Okay. So all right. So now that you understand the entire workflow, right? Um, which basically what you can do adjust the 60-day window to 30 or whatever you prefer, right? By editing the agent's date check prompt, you can customize your Slack channel or message templates. You can add a do not disturb flag common in sheets to skip VIP clients, right? Or monitor logs in executions to catch errors on rate limits and scale up, right? So swap Gmail for SendGrid or SCS for higher volume. So now that you understand how to implement this workflow system, let's explore, how to customize and optimize it for your specific business needs. So these best practices and customization options will help you tailor the workflow to your unique sales cycle, team structure, and communication preference, right? So this workflow, serves as our default based on typical B2B sales cycle, like the 60-day window, right? But your optimal time frame may differ based on your industry and product complexity. To adjust this parameter, navigate to the LangChain agent node and locate the date comparison logic in the prompt template. You can modify the threshold, right? It's very simply. For team collaboration, customizing your Slack integration can significantly improve workflow adoption. So beyond changing the destination channel from sales reviews to something else, right? Uh, that 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 fits your organizational structure. You can modify the message templates in the Slack nodes to match your company's communication style, right? Consider adding additional context fields like lead value or pipeline stage or help reviewers make informed decisions quickly. And for larger teams, you might implement role-based routing by adding a lead owner column, right, in your sheet and configuring the Slack node to tag specific members based on ownership. And to expect and to respect client preferences and protect high-value relationship, consider adding a do not disturb flag column in your Google Sheet or in your CRM, right? Uh, this Boolean field can be checked for VIP clients and those active or do not or DND, right? Sales who do not want to be contacted. So the LangChain agent can be configured to check this flag before drafting emails, bypassing automated follow-up for these sensitive relationships. And for operational reliability, implementing robust log monitoring is essential. The end-to-end execution panel provides detailed execution logs for each workflow. So definitely work with that. Uh, and you can schedule regular reviews of these logs to identify any recurring issues like API rate limiting, right? Or authentication failures or data formatting problems. And for production environment, consider setting up alerting via email or webhook when workflows fail to complete successfully. And finally, as your lead volume grows, is scaling up your sending infrastructure becomes important. So while Gmail is convenient for getting started, it has daily sending limits that may become restrictive. For higher volume needs, modify the final sending node to use enterprise email providers like SendGrid, MailChimp, or Amazon SES, which offer higher throughput and deliverability monitoring. So these services provide additional benefits like open rate tracking and click analytics that can further enhance your re-engagement strategy and effectiveness. All right, with that said, I really appreciate you spending time with us. I hope you found this workflow useful. If you want to get a copy of the working workflow, please comment below or go back and look in the description how you can get to it. All right, and thank you very much. Keep automating, and I'll talk to you soon.